Hi everyone! Welcome back to MomNMeBeauty. Today we'll be teaching you guys how to make your own Z palettes using existing makeup you already have. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified of all of our new videos.
So included in this video, you're going to see some footage of us going on yet another Ulta haul with Emma's aunt and grandmother. Now Emma's aunt is a huge makeup lover, just like us. She has some palettes that there were colors in there of eyeshadows, blushes, things like that didn't work for her or that she didn't use or didn't even like the color. So she really wanted to break those apart, give us those colors that would work for us and that we would like and use. I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on how to break apart other palettes so that you can split apart the eyeshadows if that's what you'd like to do. And some tips and tricks on how to make your Z palette work the best for you.
So we are always going to give you tips and tricks on how to know if your eyeshadow pan is magnetic or aluminum, and you'll find out in a little bit because that is actually really important to know when you're making a Z palette.
So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, then keep on watching. So we had so much fun at Ulta, and then we went over to their house so that we could start playing around with these palettes and the Z palettes. So you can see here that we started out with an empty Z palette that we made, and I'm going to go over that quickly in a second. And then what we did was we took regular palettes, we broke them apart, and then we put those eyeshadows into our Z palettes. Now, this started its life out as a regular book, and I got all of the supplies to make these Z palettes at the dollar store. I also learned how to make one of these Z palettes from another video on YouTube, and I will link that video down below if you'd like more detailed instructions. So what I did was I took a regular hardcover book, and that's the first thing. You have to have a hardcover book. You cut out the insides with like an X-Acto knife, so all the pages, so all you're left with is really the hard cover. Then what you do is you cover the outside in duct tape, again, all at the dollar store, whatever design you'd like to do, whatever colors you'd like to do. And then you're gonna go to a craft store, or you can even find them at Walmart. You're gonna get like sheets of magnet, and then you're going to tape that down to one of the insides of the book, or even glue it down. And you're also going to want to pick up at the dollar store. These are foam, like felt pads that you would put on the bottom of like furniture, so that if you have to move your furniture, it doesn't scratch up your wood floors. So I found this in the hardware section. Any cushion will do. So you want to put that around the outside edges after you put your magnetic sheets down. And then up here, I put a piece of paper, I glued a piece of paper so that I could write down the names of the eyeshadows as I put them into my Z palette. Then I also attached this magnetic closure. So I cut up a little piece of this magnet sheet here, and I glued it up top. And then this is a piece of duct flashing, and we're going to go over that too. So keep on watching about this. But anyways, this gives us a magnetic closure. So that's how you, in a nutshell, how you get your own Z palette for under $5.
So next topic is metal or aluminum. Now with the strips of magnet that we put in these palettes, they are very sensitive. You can only like stick things to them if it's that actual magnet or metal, like this pan is. This one is metal. With this one you can just, and it doesn't move anywhere. Doesn't fall out, it just doesn't budge. But aluminum is not magnetic, so it won't stick. Now, one way to tell if it's aluminum or magnet on the back of your eyeshadow pans, it's actually something that I figured out. On this one, you can see we just put a magnet on it already. But see how there's like those little lines on the pan? That's how you can tell if it's aluminum. Now I have some other ones in here that have those same lines no matter what shape they are or color. Another way to tell is just put it on the magnet sheet. Then you might want to take the actual magnet sheet and cut it up and then glue on the back of these.
So you saw how Emma had on back of some of her shadow pans that there was another piece of magnet. So when we first started making these palettes and breaking everything apart and trying to put them in the palettes, like Emma said, we found that the aluminum pans just would not stick. That's because aluminum doesn't have magnetic properties. So we glued a piece of magnet on the back and then put it in the palette, good to go. Well, then on the way home from her aunt and grandma's house, we stopped at Home Depot because I thought, well, if I can find a thin piece of metal that maybe I could cut apart with like tin snips, maybe we could glue those on the back of the aluminum pans and they would stick even better, because even though the magnets stick to each other, it's not a very strong bond and you still have to be quite careful with it. So we went over to where they have all the duct work, like if you had to work on the heating and cooling in your house, those supplies, it was over there. So over in that section of Home Depot, we found these. They're supposed to be like ductwork collars, something like that. This has already got the center of it cut out because I've already started using it. It cost me like $3.60, something like that. And this is gonna last us for a long, long time, for a lot of shadows. So then I had to get a pair of tin snips as well because we didn't have any in the house and we didn't have anything strong enough to cut this. Tin snips work really, really well, cut through the metal like butter, like it's so easy. So then you take a little piece of metal, you glue that onto the back of the pan, and instantaneous stick. They don't go anywhere. So you can get all the supplies for the palette at the Dollar Tree, and then you would have to get the piece of metal, and if you don't have any snips already, you have to get those as well. So really you can get your own Z palette for under $10. And so that's where this comes into play. This is a little piece of metal that I cut up, and it's opposite of the magnet, and that's what gives me my magnetic closure. Okay, so now you've made your Z palette, you're ready to start taking other palettes or eyeshadow singles and depotting them so you can put them all in one place. This is an old Smashbox palette. This is the Artist Eye Palette Muse. I found that with the higher end brands, if they had circular pans in a cardboard container, they were pretty easy to take out. And as long as the pans weren't too big. If they were giant size, you really had to work at it. Oh, and by the way, you're going to use an X-Acto knife or utility knife to cut around the edges of the pans. And you can definitely see, like if you open up one of your palettes, for the most part, most palettes, you can actually see the metal pan that the shadow or blush or highlight or whatever sits in. So as long as the pan size is not that big and it's circular, or in this Lorac Pro palette, if they're like square or even rectangular, again, they have to be smaller size. They usually pop out with very little trouble whatsoever, so long as you take your time. Now I was finding that other palettes, especially that were made out of plastic, so like we tried to take apart a Tarte palette that actually was made out of metal. So anything with metal or plastic, very, very, very difficult to get those pans out. So you may find that some palettes you just cannot break apart. The other thing is, as you're going around the edges to loosen the pan from the packaging, if you notice that, especially with the aluminum pans, if you notice that one edge seems to be bending ever so slightly, stop what you're doing. Do not try to go any further, because if you keep working at it, basically what it's going to do is break your shadow in half or crumble your shadow altogether, and it's going to be a total loss. It's not worth it.
Okay, one tip that I have for you guys. I actually figured out and it was actually pretty clever. So I have this one eyeshadow from I Am Princess, and it's in Biscuit. This started to break and crack and bend a little bit. So when I was looking at my palette, and to use my mom's palette as an example, see how there's like, see how these are here and then there's like added height in here? But when I looked at this, I put it in my palette.
So right up against the cushioning.
And it was basically level. And then it closed perfectly. So I said, well, why not take off the cap of whatever single eyeshadow you may be using, and then put the magnets on the bottom and take the sticker off so you can have the information on the product. Trust me, you don't want to have your eyeshadows break and crumble when they're maybe your favorites. And here's another example. This was their Pacifica blush. Same thing. The beauty of doing that is, like if you were to go on vacation or somewhere else and you didn't want to take this huge Z palette with you, you would just take out the eyeshadow, put the cap back on it, and you're good to go on vacation.
Another advantage of having a Z palette if you do travel is that you can mix and match what you take with you. So if you have a few colors in one palette that you use all the time that you really want to take with you, and then you've got a blush and yet another palette or another package, if you are able to depot this and put them all in one place, then all you really have to take is this and not 4 or 5 different palettes or individual containers. So that's one way to save money. Another way to save money, and something that dawned on us, is Emma's aunt and I like to share eyeshadow palettes quite frequently. So we discovered that if we went halvesies in on like a higher end brand palette that I knew that I could break apart, we would get the eyeshadows that we want and save money all at the same time, and we're also not wasting eyeshadows. I can't tell you how many palettes I've had, and I go into the palette and I'm like, well, you know, half of these colors I'm not even going to use, but I really want the other half of the colors, and I use them all the time. Kind of a waste of money. So if you can find a friend or a family member that you can go in like halvesies, or even, you know, a bunch of you all pay a little bit of money and you all get a couple of shadows, it's really, really worth it. And then you can put your shadows or your powders or whatever in one of these Z palettes.
Now, one last tip we have for you guys with these Z palettes is to write the names of the eyeshadows and the brands on a little white sheet of paper and then glue it in. So what I did with my Z palette was I have a piece of paper inside the palette, and I have some Lorac shadows in it. And what I did was I wrote down the names of all the eyeshadows, and for the ones with stickers in it, I took the stickers off the eyeshadows and just put them above where the eyeshadow is. But if you want to, you know, tell a friend about it or show it to somebody, or even know where it came from, and use pencil. I regret using pen very strongly, and it's not a erasable pen. I regret that.
And that is it for our Z palette tips and tricks, how-tos. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you give us a big thumbs up down below. That helps us to know that you really enjoyed this type of video and we can make more for you. If you're new here and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and the little bell right next to it so you're notified every time we upload a new video. We do upload 2 times a week. On Mondays is Mom and Me Day, and on Thursdays is either Teen Take with Emma or My Moment with Me. Be sure to connect with us on Instagram under MomNMeBeauty, and with Emma under Emma_N_2004. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to share this video with your friends, because once we reach 100 subscribers, Emma and I will be having our first ever giveaway on this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and we can't wait to see you in our next Mom and Me video.
Bye everyone!